はい、すいません、お待たせしました。ちょっと待ってくださいね。ちょっと待ってね。音が跳ね返ってきちゃってるわ。OK。画面通ります。よいしょ。すいませんね。ちょっとまだ画面立ち上げてないのはちょっと理由がございまして、あなたを優しく包み込む可愛いお顔のふわふわきつね、月餅よりも餃子がいい月もちちよと申します。カンペ毎日ありがとうございます。有森屋さん、大輝ありがとう。浩平さん、大輝ありがとう。ちりちゃん、大輝ありがとう。めぐりみるさん、こんちを来てくれてありがとう。大輝ありがとう。わさびさん、こんちを来てくれてありがとう。こんちを爆弾、ちょっとね。ちょうどいい背景がなくて、今回はね、ちょっとこんな爆発背景から始めさせていただいてるんですけど、ちょっと待ってな。なんかちょっと、音ちっちゃくないか？音ちっちゃくないか？みんな大丈夫か？こんぐらいで大丈夫かな？あんまり千代のね、音量を上げないように。このぐらいでどうでしょうか？皆様ね、ちょっと今、つきますよね、マイクの音量を上げましたんで、爆音になってしまうとかありましたら、そちらはまたお申し付けくださいということで、ちょっとゲームの画面立ち上げからちょっとやろうかなと思って。なんかね、さっき一回テストのために立ち上げたらちょっと面白いことが起きたので、ちょっと、立ち上げからみんなと一緒に見ていこうかなと思ってやってまいりました。音量 OK です。ありがとうございます。で、これなんですよ。現在の時刻を入力してくださいと出まして、これゲームの音出てるかな？出てるね。ゲームの音量をね、おかしかったら教えてください。今がね、22時32分か。22時、これ手作業なんですよね。音量でかくない？なんか音量バーが死ぬほどでかい位置にあるんだけど。カンカンカンカンカンってなってた。ごめん。32分かな？ 33 分になるかな。あ、浩平さん、こんにちは来てくれてありがとうということで、確認ポン。前回ね、なんか、22時半で設定したら、なんかね、あなた、毎回丁寧に入れていただいてありがとうございますみたいなね、文言が出たので、今回もちょっとやってみました。次の時は、あなたの好きな時間を入力してくださいって。で、だから、10時33分、あなたのお気に入りの時刻。もしくはただ単に、もう一度正しい時刻を入力せずにはいられなかったのでしょうか。結局、あなたが正しい時間に設定するのをどんなに楽しんでいるか、私は知っていますからね。ここで私が知りたいのは10時33分 PM がどれほど正確なのかということです。他のスライダーで調べてみましょう。何これ？そう、適当な時間だとまた変わるらしいよ、これ。正確だよね。今、でも正確じゃないかも。ちょっと今変わっちゃったかも。こんぐらい。まあ、時計が正確かどうかに関係なく、この設定を調整するのは素晴らしい一時なんです。あなたがどのような設定が好みなのか、あなたのことをもっとよく知ることができた気がします。何なんだこいつ。データ集めるのは良いことです。ゲームが始まらない。ゲーム始まらないよ。ゲームいつ始まるんだよ。もっといっぱいスライダーがあればいいのに。でももう持ってるスライダーは全部出し切ってしまいました。あなたの新しいデータをかき集めるためにゲームさせてくれよ。ねえ、ゲームさせてくれよ。イエーイ、さっさと新しいの作りましょう。あなたが次にこのゲームを起動するときには準備できてやらず。もう一回やっていい？ラッキーマンさん、こんばんは来てくれてありがとう。もう一回やっていいか？もう一回やっていいか？千代ちゃんのお耳が字幕にかぶっている。本当に？じゃあね、千代を、ちょっとちっちゃくしましょうか。こんぐらい。ということで、ちょっと、もう一回ゲーム閉じるな。違う。今始まったとこなんだけど、ちょっと一回ゲームを、なんかちょっと今、ゲーム開始前にゲームが始まってしまって、ちょっと悔しいから、もう一回やります。なんかね、時間調整しろって言われて、 パソコンがギリギリ見えるくらいまでスライダーを調節してください。全部明るくします。この犬と猫が友達になるように、スライダーを調節し、これゲームの音鳴ってる？ゲームの音鳴ってなくない？またこの人。待ってくださいよ。この OBS ってやつさ、すぐ言うこと聞かんくなる。これでどうだ？友達になるようにスライダー。ラブラブじゃんね。5が9になるまでスライダーを調節してください。9ってどれ？あ、9あった。でも他のも見たいよね。9。9。あなたのスライダーの調節を止めるまでスライダーを調節してなんて？スライダーの調節をやめるまでスライダーを調節してください。2つの造語のどちらかあなたにとって魅力的ですか？オッキンボインガル、スクラムトゥッシュ。オッキュボインカル、スクラムトゥッシュ。スクラムトゥッシュかな。スライダーを調節しないでください。はい。今何時かわかりますか？はい。はい。そもそも時間って何なんでしょうか？はいかいいえで答えられる質問をしてくれ。これこういうゲームじゃないんだ。本当にみんな信じてくれ。このゲームこういうゲームじゃないんだ。いいえ。あなた自身のことで私に何かまだ言ってないことがありますか？たくさんある。わかった。また私を訪ねてきてくれます。何？私のこと好きなの？私のこと好きなのかも。じゃあやっとね、来ましたんで、じゃあゲーム始めていきます。ゲーム音量などね、大きかったりする場合はちょっと教えてください。月も潮もちょっとわかんないから教えてね。というわけで始まります。暗闇かまってちゃんがね、そう、来てしまいましたね、皆様ね。これが暗闇かまってちゃんか。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order.This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
なんかタンポポを置くやつよりもやばいよな。
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley.Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid,Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
ちょっと待ってな。多分これ読むわ。チオは読まないんですけど、みんな多分読っちゃうと思うからちょっとお待ちくださいね。今、デフォルメキャラクターをそこに配置します。ニューチオじゃない、新衣装千代の笑顔の 笑顔の隙間ちにしようかな。ね、ちょっと真ん中に置くからみんな酔いそうになったら、こいつを認めてください。ね、よろしくお願いしますね。よし。で、文字とか、文字かぶり大丈夫そうだったかな？音量とか、もしおかしかったら教えてくださいということで、このゲームを再開する。特に、ちょっと待って、操作説明がわかんねえんだわ。カメラの感度が良すぎる。コントロール。会員コントロール。進む WASD ジャンプ。インタラクトはいいね。インタラクトがいいで、コントロールで戻る。OK、OK、OK。ちょっと、ワットさん、こんちは来てくれてありがとう。今日はね、なんかね、この、チオはスタンリーっていう人なんですけど、スタンリーが、すごい独特の滑り感あるな。スタンリーがね、なんか、会社内で孤独になってしまったので、ちょっと、会社内を調査する仕事兼、ナレーションがこれついてるんですけど、ナレーションの人にストレスを与えるゲームです。言いましょ
う。All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
会議室ってどこよ?
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
とりあえずね、行くなんかあるよ、なんかあるよ。観葉植物だ。ナレーションにストレスを与える仕事をしています。
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
知ってる知ってる。ストーリーは進まないの知ってんねん。
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, 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 no. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. 100回ぐらい叩いたら実績出るかな。ほら、喋れ。ナレーターにストレスを与えろ。いやー、今ね、すごい楽しい。ナレーターさんにめちゃめちゃ怒られてるけど、めちゃめちゃ楽しいよ。スタンリーって聞いたことあると思ったら、マーベルコミックのお偉いさんと同じ名前。そうなんだ。これもしかしてやめるまでこれからだいぶね、今ね、連打してるわ。どうが悪いかな。I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
ほら、借り出せ。ほら、実績。
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment. A willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
417に437。いや、お前、ここがいいんだよ、千代は。一瞬迷っちゃった、ちょっと。くださいよ。ねえ、実績。千代に実績をくれよ。1時間だって2時間だってどんどんクリックするぞ。実績くれなきゃ。分かってんのか。今日は君にストレスを与えに来ました。月星千代と申します。VTuber をやっています。ね。運の尽きだね。 絶対諦めないからな。今日は根性で全てをやります。ドアが悪いんかもな。全部のドア叩いてみる？ダメだな。これは？これ会議室かな？じゃあ入っちゃダメだな。まだ根負けしてくれないかな。ダメかな。そろそろ進まないと視聴者のストレスチェックも始まっちゃうかな。今来た人にね、お伝えさせていただくと、このゲームは、スタンリーというね、人がなんか会社内にぼっちになったからそれを調査しに行くゲームなんですけど、それと同時にナレーションの人にストレスを与えるよというね、ゲームとなっておりますので、つきまして全力で、ナレーターにストレスを与えています。ちょっと指疲れたな。指疲れたけど、ここでそっち行ったら負けた気持ちになるな。ダメかな。諦めてくんねえかな。実績くんねえかな。会社で墓地。このぐらいのスピードでやってます。ナレーターさん死んだかな。ナレーターさん頑張ってる人いるんですけど、ここに。今日の配信はここで終わりかな。よし。ナレーターさん。わかった。言うこと聞くわ。両親に耐えきれない。やっぱ両親って大切なんだな。両親の呵責に耐えられなくなることが月町潮にもあります。今日はなんかどこ行っても鍵閉まってんな。
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
ナレーターさん構ってくれて嬉しいわ。416。410なんか417号室の扉をクリックしろって言ってたよね。ここか。
Oh, great! Now, go click a few times on door 437.
437のドアクリックしろだって。キャッキャ437なんかないよ。437のドアをクリックしろ。437なんてないわ。どこだろう、437。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
騙したな。不可逆の扉に。あ、スルーしちゃった。やば。くそ、もったいないことした。開かない。戻してよ。戻して。どっちの扉がいいかな。どちらにしようかな。べのべ。じゃあこっち。閉まるなよ。なんなの？何もできませんけど、ちょっと。なんか誘導されてる感があって嫌やね。会議室だ。 対嫌だ。会議室。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Wednesday. Do not alter wizard consulting whiteboard manage meeting floor 4バツバツ。なんて書いてあるのか全然わからんね。ターゲッツ、プッシュフォア、ホンギフォア、リドオブ、ニューコピーマシーン、ゲットチョイス。こんにちは、ひたすら逆らう配信。今ね、逆らおうと思ったんですけど、ゲームがね、ちょっと、こっから出してくんね。なんかちょっとゲームの指示に従ってる感があって、ちょっと反抗期のつきますよ。ちょっとギーってなってる。どっからこれになってんの？あそこか。ジャンプできないんですよね、このゲームね。あそこに、プロジェクターどこにあんの？なんかさっきからパチパチ変わってるけど。これか？Chip for not getting fired. Progress. Do unability amazing work all the time, every day. わかんないだな。わかんない。なんだ、壊れた人いる、ここに。プロフィッツ。わかんねえな。to do. Shining for value extend. シフトグローバルマーケットパラードモンテゼフリートゥプレイモンタージュがねルームクローゼット何ここ
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. 絶対全部調べる There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
ここにいる。
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet play.
月も千代がインタラクトしてるでしょうがなんかあるでしょうが多分
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why?
すごい怒ってくるこの
Please
人
offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
君にストレスを与えたいからここに立ってるんだよ
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
別に千代は物置が好きとかそういうんじゃなくてナレーターさんにストレスを与えたいんだ
its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." 日本語訳間違ってますよ I hope your friends find this concerning.
あ、ロジャーさん、ダジャハオ、ナレーターにストレスを与えています
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
やだね。その手には乗らないよ。
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here when a physical melody of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right. When you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
わかった。
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
永遠に構ってくれんじゃん、マジで。両親の呵責がね、そろそろ咎めてきてから行こうか。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
なんか落ちてるけど読めない。上行く？下行く？下行く。
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. so he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
大丈夫そう？だいぶ気狂ったみたいだけど。
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
立ち去るなしたよ前に。2周目2周目2周目。はい、2周目です。目覚めのいい朝。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
ダメか。やめとくか。ちょっとまともに進みましょうかね。ちょっとスタンリーが壊れちゃったので、おもちゃ壊れちゃったから。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左のドアに入りましただって。絶対右行こう。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
こっちに行くとラウンジなんだ。へえ。いいラウンジ。なんかさ、このメモとかも読めないんだよね。
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
コーヒーメーカーがそこかしこにあるけど。
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings.
この床ゴロンってしようや。床ゴロンってしよう。このさ、これいいよね。こう窓際にあってね。
Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy, and reflected poorly on his overall personality.
ボロカス言ってく
It's
るじゃん。
possible that this is why everyone left.
ああ、確かに。ボロカス言ってくるね、君。ナレーター好きだよ。
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
じゃあちょっと両親の呵責耐えきれず。
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to
もう
business.
左側を選びました。千代ちゃん。スタンリーがね、執着する部屋ですから。こっちってこと？ここってこと？
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
え、なにこれ？乗ろ。ここ何
？But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go,
Stress.
From here, it's, left.
あ、こんばんは。配信へ潜めた獲物を見せびらかしに来た猫さん。こんばんは。定めらし運命に死ぬほど逆らっています。今、ナレーターにね、ストレスを与える。
Oh, no, it's to the right. My mistake. No, not the right.
何がしたいのお前は。
Why would I have ever said it was to the right?
どうしたのどこ行きたい
What was I
どこ行きたい
thinking?
君。
It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
わかりました。わかりました。こうやってストレスを与えていま
Now,
す。
let's see. We went down, right, left, down, left, right.
頑張れ
Yep. Okay. Yes, I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
本当に本当にあなた、本当にこっちで合ってるなんてや。なんで
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler.
あ、そうなの
Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get
何
back
これ
to
すごいすごいすごい。
Who am I
こん
kidding?
なになんかある
It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning.
おじさんどこ行く
And
の
this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay. From the top.
あ、強制退去。ちょっと、今のはないんじゃないですか
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
君さ、君、ちょっとどういうことかね。超真面目に進んでいたというのに。これね、ダッシュとかもできないので、あビファルドさんだ。スタンリーパラブルやっております。完全版みたいなやつ買いましたんで。
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh.
あ
Everything
勝
should
手
be...
に焦ってくれんの助か
Oh,
る
did
な。
something change?
勝手に。
Stanley, did you change
何もしてない
anything
よ。
when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story
私、こう。
somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was
勝
right
手に
here
スト
just
レ
a
ス与えら
minute
れ
ago.
て
I know
焦
for
ってく
sure
の
that
めっ
it's
ちゃ
here
いいな。
somewhere. Okay then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the
どこがいい
story.
かな1、2、3。こことここはね、最初からあった部屋ですからね。4。この椅子のとこがいいな。この椅子のとこがいいんだけど。ここがいいんだけど、ダメみたいです。でもさ、そしたらこっち行ってみようか。こっち行ってみようか。ここで合ってる？慣れた？
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we just Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
あ、勝手にナレーターが焦って勝手にストーリー変えるのやめてくれんか。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
行くわ行くわ。ね。もうここまで来たら素直に行くわ。ストーリーを進めたい。ドアないわ。ナレーター、ちょっとドアないわ。
Okay, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
いいよ。ドア開けて。ドアが。なんかいじれなくなってる。ノックもできない。あ、ノックはできる。ここもできない。どこまで戻りゃいいんだ、これ。最初に戻りゃいいのかな。
Aha! I knew we'd miss something.
何？
The story. Here it comes.
え？大丈夫そうこれ。
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
ああ、違うとこ繋がってるけど。誰だこれ違うとこ繋がってるけど。明らかにここじゃない。
Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all.
何これ
Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct?
合ってます、合ってます。
Do you remember, Stanley?
ちょっと待って。
Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job.
Yay.
Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We
何もやらんで
both
も
know you
さ
didn't put in any actual work for that win.
ナレーターにスト
Some
レス
people
与えら
win
れてる
fair
のめっ
and
ちゃいいな
square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I
勝ちま
have
した。
to
8文字。
restart.
ああ、優勝です。ああ。
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line.
ああ、
How
助かる
simple is
な、
that?
これ。助かる、助かる。じゃあ、この通りに行ってみようか。こっちだったっけ？ねえ。絶対ここ違うと思うんですけど。
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny.
従うよ、ちょっと。
Here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story
なんか
there?
だって上
Or
司
to
の
put
と
it
こ行
another
くとかっ
way,
て
is the story
言って
of
なかっ
no
たっけ？
destination still a story?
すっごいことに
Simply
なっ
by
て
the
きたけ
act
ど
of。moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that.
すごいな。
You know what?
血を
I
逆ら
think
わん
what
で
we
もなんか
need
ちょっ
right
と
now
ゲー
is
ム
a
内
bit
で
of
反
music
逆
to
が起こってん
lighten
な。
the mood.
あーすごい。音すごい。ちょっと待って。音がすごいわ。メインじゃない。ミュージック音量ちょっと50ぐらいにそっか。ああ、大変愉快だ。多分これが上司の机かなんかなんでしょうね。ズンチャズンチャこっち行ったらダメなんだよね、多分ね。従えってことだもんね。まあまあ、ちょっとかわいそうになってきたからちょっとは従うわ。マンスリーレジェンズ。あ、ひかりさん、昆虫来てくれてありがとうございます。もうすでに今ストーリーが崩壊し、なんやこりゃって感じです。これ合ってる？
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern.
合ってる？
Wait, what? We're back at the office?
これさっきのとこじゃない？
No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
ないよ。ああ、絶対ここに戻ってくんじゃん。
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
千代の意思に関係なくリスタートさせるもんね。あ、ナレーターいなくなった。
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us?
メンヘラになるの
We're
やめ
intelligent
て。
people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious.
急にメンヘラになるのやめ
This
て。
all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
いいよ。もうナレーターかわいそうになってきた。
Yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be?
ね、これ気
Go
がついた？
wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley. I'm ready for it.
ドーナツになっちゃうって。なんだっけ
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it. We should be fine.
そうそう、バターになっちゃうやつね。すごい。あ、屋根つき、これ物理なんだ。全部物理なんだね。お、なんだこの。
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
いいよ。
Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with that counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
大丈夫そうこれ。え、なんか。
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending.
混乱エンドですね。
That's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget?
ここでストーリー
My
を
mind
作ろう
goes
とする。
blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really?
かわいそうな
No,
レ
it
ター。
can't be. I
大丈夫そう。
don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean did we do
そう、
it?
円環の輪に飲み込まれなくなったよ。
Whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of
どう
story.
して
Wouldn't
ナレ
you
ーターは
agree?
千代が味方だと
I'm
思
not
って
quite
るの？
sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
え？あ？え？はい。 なんだ今回は。
All of his co-workers were gone.
最初
What
から
could
に
it
なった
mean?
のかな。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
わかりました。じゃあちょっと今回は素直に会議室に行ってみようか。さすがになんかちょっとナレーターさんがかわいそうだったわ。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
なんか両親の呵責が本当に。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
どこら辺
office.
なんだろう。ここ上司の部屋だけ豪華じゃない？ずるくない？こんな豪華なことある？己たちの部屋はあんなに小さくて狭かったのに、上司の部屋だけこんなに扉があって重厚でかっこよくて。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
そうなのかも。マネージャーって言ってたもんね。こっちは何にもないのかな。これに乗って下に行けと。とりあえず今ね、全部に従ってますからね。つきますよ。今のところはね。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
なんだここ。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
エスケープって書いてある。エスケープって書いてある。エスケープって書いてある。己。
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
まだ死にたくないわ。さすが
But
に。
of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
ちょっと奥さんに申し訳ねえわ。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
さっきのとこじゃんこれ。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
でも奥さんのとこに戻れるんですよ。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
月持ちを置いてけぼりにしないで、ちょっと。
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for
どこ
all.
にあんの解体装置。あ、これか。5。マインドコントロールアイドル。await システムパワー。うん。
Oh, Stanley.
あ、間違えちゃ
You
った。
just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley. I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're going to die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
おう、殺されてしまった。というエンディング。なんだこのゲーム。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
さっきのところを1、2、3、4、5もうちょっとやればいいんだ。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
なんだっけ番号2587だっけ
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
さっきのとこでなんかやっぱりオフにしたらハッピーエンドとかあるんだね。いやなんかとりあえずまっすぐなんかナレーターがかわいそうだからストーリーやってみようかなという両親の呵責に今ねペットボトルの蓋開けたらね
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
一回非合のシートを入れるか。
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
あ、落ちるの？落ちんのか。さすがにスタンリーかわいそうかな。生きてる？嘘？
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Bye bye, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
誰？
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
スタンリーのパソコン。オフィスレイアウト。なんか、これを見ていい画面なの？オフィス。すごいね。かわいい。この2つのドア。あ、出た出た。5つの。ね。そう。やっぱこれ5個押せば止まるとかそういうあれだったんかな。オフィスのパソコン。こっちにもなんかある？あ、こっちにもいろいろあるね。オフィスの時計。なんか裏世界みたいなの来ちゃってるけど大丈夫そうこれ。クレジット。素晴らしいゲームだなこれ。オフィス。メンテナンスルーム。これ見てもいいとこなの？なるほどね、なるほどね。アパートメントタイマー。全然知らないエンディングとあるんだけど大丈夫そうこれ。これ選択肢千代があれなだけでもっとあったんかな。これどこ行ったらいいんだろう。これどこ行ったらいいんだマジで。
Now then, this elevator for sure will get him right back on track to where he was supposed to be. Then he pushed the number 4.
これすごいね、めちゃめちゃ見てる方は楽しいんですけど、これどうしたらいいんだ？ね、エンディングいくつあるんだろうね。やっぱり選択肢がちょっと甘かったかな。やっぱり全部反抗しないとダメなんかな。ナレーターのメール。スタンリーのオフィス。すごい。これどうすんのこれ。リスタートすればいいのかな。あ、こっちか。エグジット。
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one
なんだ
another?
何
No,
スタン
perhaps
リーと
not.
ナレーターはずっともだ
Sometimes
よっ
these
てこと
things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail.
どうやって
Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do. 言うこと聞いてみるかお姉さんの。
一回終了して始めるか。
This is the story of a man.
というわけで、心機一転。
All of his co-workers were gone. What
こ
could
れ
it
なんか
mean?
砂漠のところ
Stanley
とか行って
decided
み
to
たい
go to the
ね。
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
なんかどっか行けるとことかないのかな。
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No. 今日はこっち側入る。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
なんで今罵声を浴びせられた？つきますよ。はいはい。ああ、すごいね。危ないね。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
死ぬみてえです。このゲームって。
All of his co-workers were gone.
でもさっきのとこまで戻ろうか。面白かった。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
ワーニングって書いてくれてる。ジャンプすると危ないよって。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
証明してみろよ。このやんちゃ坊主によ。こっちで合ってる？ねえ。証明してみせてよ。ん？
Now listen carefully, this is important.
はい、わかりました。
Stanley walked through the red door.
はい。なんかすごい一生懸命だからちょっと言うこと聞いてやるか。
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop.
すごい優しい草取られてるな。
We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution.
俺たち
Here,
ビールってこと？
let me show you.
でもどっちか空いてるよ。こっち？スタンリー？
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
急に VR チャットみたいになったけど。
Right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel
どうしたん
happy.
VR チャットみたいな世界に来たよ。どうしたんナレタさん、もうダメか？産地が一桁か？何しても壊れるか？へえ、綺麗。
No, wait.
え、
Where are
違
you
うの？
going?
はいはいはい、違うの？
Right. Where were we?
そっちに行けってことじゃなくて？で、あるよ、そこに。扉が。でもそこにあるよ、扉。行かなくていいんか？ナレタさん。ね、幻想的だね。ここは何ですか？なんか夢の世界からさよならだからちょっともうちょいいるか。でもナレタもここの世界終わりだよ。やっぱこっち行くかな。夢の世界はもうおしまい。
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
階段に近づかないで。でもダメなのか？もうなんかヤンデレみたいになってんじゃん。一回。
Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
ナレーターさん壊しちゃったかもしれない。なんかメンヘラみたいなこと言い出した。ここにいてずっといてって。でもここにはずっといれないんだよ、ナレーター。
No. What did we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here.
はい、すいません。
Are you going to stay here, aren't you?
壊れちゃった。俺が壊した。壊しちまった。ナレーター。ごめんな。DV みたいなことずっとやって。綺麗なワールド。こういうワールド行ったことあるよ、VR チャットで。なんか、あったよね、こういうワールドね。よくわかんないけど。でもナレーター前に進めないと、俺たちもう壊れちゃうよ。ダメ？今見守ってるでしょ、あんた。
You heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you?
怒んないで。怒んないで。怒んないで。でもこれ永遠だからな。死ぬしかないか。そろそろね、ヤンデレの言葉も聞き飽きましたんで。
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
でも、じゃあドア開けてや。あ、ここから落ちろってこと？でもそうしないと進まないよ、話が。ナレーター、お前の産地と引き換えに話が進むなら。
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
はい、すいません。でも話が進まないんだ。わかるか、ナレーター。なあ、そこから飛び降りねえと。わあ。いや、だってストーリー進まないじゃん。進まないじゃん、ナレーターさんさ。申し訳ないけど、じゃあ下になんかでっかいクッションマットかなんか引いてくれよ、今すぐ。ほい。
No! Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room?
わかった。 ねえ、なんで生きてんの逆に。あ、ここは。
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
BL かなんか見てる今。スタンリーとナレーターの BL 見てるもしかして。ボーイズラブ見てる？違う？スタンリー、既婚者だからね、ナレーターさん。分かってんだろうね。でも話が進まねえんだって、ここにいたって。こっからどこにも行けねえんだから。そう、だから、致し方ないんです。ね？
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come
ヤ
from
ンデレ
this.
の、ヤンデレが呼び戻してる。そうだね、つって。偉いね、つって。でも産地がどんどん削れていくよね。ナレーターさんが変えちゃえばいいじゃんね。
No. No, no. What are you doing, Stan? Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
お前を信じてないわけじゃないんだけど、話が進まねえんだって。いやもうなんか話が進まないの。ダメなの、今配信してんの。こっちは。なんか、下にね、ここ、じゃあここ入れるようにして。止めなさい、ここで。大切に思うなら、はい。
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
わかった。何の絵これ？
Yes. Perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about.
もうマジで3
I
回
know
目
you'll see.
落ちん
You'll
のこ
see
れ。
that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you?
もう多分息も怠大だと思うよ、スタンリー。でも行かなきゃいけないこともあるよ、スタンリー。スタンリー。
No, perhaps not.
だってナレーターさん、あなた今
My
まで
God, is this really
嫌い
how
じゃない
much
ん
you
だって。
dislike my
嫌
game?
いじゃないんだっ
Would
て。
you throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it?
いや、
You
そ
were
の通りだ。
literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being
違うっ
happy.
て。
Am I reading the
いや、違
situation
うって。違
correctly?
うんだって。お前がは幸せであってほしいけど、ストーリーが進まねえんだって。な？ほら、ほら、ほら、お望み通りここにいてあげるからね。ああ、いい子だ。ああ、いい景色だね。どんどんヤンデレのメンヘラになってくるのはまずいな。今までの現実改変能力何だったんだよ、ナレーター。ここ、もうちょいなんかできたろ。な？どうしてナレーターから責められる結果になってんだ、これマジで。今日だって何回もね、こう降りたくはないんだよ、こっから。
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get
じゃ
along.
ね。
But do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me?
なんで切れてんのよ。ここ以外の部屋を用意してよ。ね。ナレーター
I
さん。
wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I wish I still thought that was possible.
いや、スタンリーには妻がいるんじゃ。 しばらくここで待ってみて話変わるかな。なんだこれ、ハッピーエンドになりたいんだよ、月持ちしようは。ね、なりたいけど、話がこれ以上進まないじゃん。ねね、成田さんね。これもう一回身を投げますと。嫌いじゃないんだよ。成田さんのこと大好きだよ。ね、もう足取りがおめえの。すごい。もう止めやしないよね。すごい。多分もう一回落ちたら多分死ぬと思うわ、これ。多分。ごめん、次はナレーターさんの言うこと聞く人生にするから。さよなら。
Is it over?
終わりです。
It's going to restart, isn't it?
当たり前でしょ。
I'm going back.
あ、壊れた。壊れてる人だ。大丈
All
夫？
of his co-workers were
どうした
gone.
の？
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
あんたこんな汚しちゃって。どうしたの？New content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
何？ナレーターなんか知ってる？ん？ナレーター？
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
ディズニーランドじゃん。
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
ね、楽しみだね。行ってみようか。
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
めちゃん、あれ？
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
両方空いてるエレベーターって怖いよな。
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right. All right, let's see. It's
New content.
the jump circle.
おう。慣れた。なんだこれ。慣れた。なあ。何をさせられてんだ。初上げでもさせられてんのか。なあ。俺たち何をさせられてんだ。
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
そうだよね。まだあるよね。
Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not
彼女
positive.
面みたい
It's
な
just
するじゃん、ナレー
elevators
ター
and
とさ。
jumping. Is this what passes for
ナレーターと
exciting
スタン
new
リーの恋物語だ
content?
っ
If
けこ
this
れ。
is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yeah.
Very good.
I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? No, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
ああ、確かにな。勝手にリスタートさせられたな。開幕違うのやめてもらえんか。え？違うな。I hate Monday これ欲しい。I hate Monday カップ。あれ？変わっちゃったね。なんか、すべてが。ナレーター？
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
わかった。どこ？ここ？ナレーターどうしちゃったん？もうなんか反逆の意思を持って接してたけど、あまりにも可愛い。
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it.
そんなことをす
Just
るんだ。
our little secret. Take a look.
素敵。勝手にVR チャットのワールド？
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
わ、かわいい。
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
すごいね。メモリーハッピー。ほんと大切な思い出なんだな。ワンダーラめちゃめちゃ素敵なワールドじゃん。ここで撮影した。めちゃめちゃ撮影したいな、ここで。ほら、すごい綺麗なワールドだよ。すごい。
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
ナレーターさん悲しまないで、大丈夫だから。すごいね、いろいろあるね。パソコンゲームでね、こう発売されてね。
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories. These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
だいぶ治安悪いとこ出てきたな。
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
あっちにもある。低評価。
Okay, let's see what this one says.
見てみ。
While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. To be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? No. Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this.
the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. Got the...
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your Greek gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once, that you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first, I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations. All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
スキップしてくれってことなのかな。無音になっちゃったな。
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes. It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please. Please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
というわけでね、フリートークの時間がやってまいりました。多分スキップボタン押せってことだと思うんですけど、ちょっとね、さすがになので、このまま待ってみようかなと思います。多分押せってことなんだろうな。じゃあね、今現時刻はこれですね。で、何の話するか。今飲んでるものはね、アクエリアスのね、ニューウォーターってやつで、なんか水より優れた水分補給って書いてあったから買ってみたんですけど、なんか本当に虚無を飲んでる気持ちで、なんかね、水っていうかなんかレモン水なんかアクエリアスを10倍ぐらいに薄めたもんにレモンちょっと入れてる感じの味がしてあんまりな。このナレーターさんのギャラは何文字いくらなんでしょう。結構もらってそうだよね。こんだけ文字数喋ってるし、なんだっけ、さっきなんか裏の部屋みたいので3回ぐらい撮ってるって言ってたから、その分のお金もねちょっともらってんのかなっていう感じはあるので、結構もらってそうですよね、そう考えるとね。多分これ押してくれってことだと思うんだよな。でも多分待ってた方がね もうナレーターさんに関してもなんか母親のような気持ちで見てるよ。もう飛び降りのところは申し訳なかったなと思って完全にね、なんかナレーターさんの悲痛な声を聞いてちょっと反抗するのをやめようかなっていう気持ちになっちゃった気持ちがやっぱりね、ちょっとね、かわいそうな声はちょっとかわいそうになっちゃうから。ね、本当だからナレーターさんがね、やめてって言ったらやめてあげたいんですけど、でもこの現状から打破するのはどうやったらいいんだっていう。多分絶対ね、スキップボタンを押してくださいなんですけどね。でもスキップボタンを押すとっていうね、こうっていうか、もう2時間半ぐらいやってるから、このルートが終わったらやめようか。永遠にやり続けちゃうぞこれ。いや、そうだと思うよ。多分ナレーターさんね、押してくれってことだと思うんだ。押してみるか。帰ってきたら悲しむかな。でももうちょい待ってみるか。でも絶対押せっていう振りなんだよね、これはね。だいぶ待ったよな。今頃お外で一生懸命頑張ってんのかな。押しちゃおうか。
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button and to become frozen in time. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh my goodness, I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe It means
とんで
I'm
もねえ
real.
もん聞かされてるけど
Maybe
大丈夫そう。
I'm not just a fiction.
Was
I scared of that all along?
スタンリーとナレーターの BL をずっと
Perhaps
聞
I've
か
been
されてるん
scared
ですけ
this
ど
whole time that if
大
I
丈夫そうこ
stop
れ。
speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you
関
press
係
that
性オタ
button,
ク
you're
大関係で
still
すが
right
でも
there, but I
スタンリーに
know
は奥さん
you're
がい
so
るんだよ。
tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us. And I am suspended in its unyielding
大丈夫
quietness.
そう
I can feel the edges of my
慣れ
reality
慣れしたってこと
curdling
そうそうそうそう
inward
慣
and
れしたってこと
decaying.
しようとしたら
I
慣
can
れしただけど
tell that I am
人によって
becoming
はスタ
less
慣れ
and
かも
less
しれないから
real.
ちょっとそこはね
Yet
要
to
相
speak
談
to
という
you
ことで
now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am
もう一回押したら
something.
泣い
I
ちゃ
am
うか
being
な
listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this
わかんない
means
け
to
ど
me.
出口は
I'm
ど
so
こだ
clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart.
あ
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much
なんかうっすら
time.
明るいね。
I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest
そ
time.
う数分で
Stanley.
解決するくれの
Days,
そう
months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the
かわい
past.
そう
And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them
すごいなもう
collapsed
執
down
着だ
into
も
a
んねスタ
single
ンリーに
instant.
対する
In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an
そうどう
eternity,
す
for
る
what
よ
I now know was far less. You see, it was a
どっかのタイミン
revelation
グでなんか
for
出
me.
てこな
It
い
was
かな
unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events.
あもう喋らなくなっちゃったナレーターさん喋んなくなっちゃった壊れちゃったみたいナレーターさん壊れた産地なくなっちゃったみたいまた何の音なんか落としてるああアラームなんかの何の音いや音の近くに行けば行くほど鳴るななんだこれ
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking in.
静寂と苛烈と あ、押せなくなった。
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end,
すごい壊れちゃってる。本当に壊れちゃった。壊しちゃったな。どっかで水の落としてる。あ、お外が水漏れしてきたんだね。これね、連打できないようになってて、ちょっと時間空くんだね。多分次また騒いでると、お、外出れるかも。さすがに外は出れないか。ナレーター壊れちゃったからちょっと置いてきたわ。あ、でもジャンプができないからさ、もうちょい待つか。ナレーターさんは壊れました。あー、だいぶ未来に来てるな。ジャンプがね、できないんだよね。もうちょいじゃあ頑張ってみるか。お、どうしたのこれ。あ、もう壊れた世界かも、ずっと。あ、外出れる。あら、大変だこと。ナレタさん、あっち中あるわ。行ってみるか。砂漠エンドだなこれ。いや、これはナレーターさん壊れちゃったもんな。あ、戻った。やっぱ綺麗な電話鳴ってる。え？どこの電話？これ？あ、これか。
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
ナレーターさん、翻訳して。全然なんて言ってたのかわかんないんだけど。アバティングインプット。アバティングインプット。全然わかんなかった今は。New contents.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
大丈夫そう？これに乗っていいこと一回もなかったけど。 なんか一回壊れちゃってるからさ、ナレーターさんが。そう不安なんだよね。大丈夫？
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further.
俺たちの
Which
中を
is
一歩
why
進めるって
I'm
こ
very
と？
proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
あら、素敵。ウォーターサーバーがある。
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
すごいウォーターサーバーある。すごい喉乾いてるんだろうな。
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
やたらと水置いてあるけど、そんな喉乾くことある？はいはい、いいですね。2
Now,
は
to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
This way to the showroom store. あ、素敵。New Futures。あ、いいね。ディズニーランドみたい。ちっちゃい椅子。めっちゃいいじゃん。
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
はいはい。The button that says the name of the player that is play the game. はいはいはい。ここで名
For
前
the
を出てくれ
Stanley
んだ。
Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim, watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
Yes.
If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes! You see! What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
ちょっと違うとこ行ってみようか。他の機能見せてみ。ね。
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
なんかここでだけ落とすんだよな。後ろになんかある？エピローグって書いてあるからちょっと後でにしようかな。ジャンプサークル。ニューイージーアクチフリーニューイージーアクチベメート。こっちは何
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Oh.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly... Great! Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
あー、すごいね。面白い穴。これどうやって上がるの？あ、ここか。いいじゃんね、無限に落ちれて。ありましたね。なんか地獄の一番下の方はまず落ちるところからスタートだもんね。で落ちてからが本番的なとこもあるもんね。ジャンプサークル。ああ、さっきのやつか。
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
そうね、下の方は本当に大変みたいで。何これ？
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your
そんな顔してたんだ、スタンリー君。
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
こっちは出口。ジャンプサークル。なんだっけ、お釈迦様の布で石が削り終わるぐらいケーキが長いんでしたっけ、地獄のあれは。
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
画面見て。 なんだこのゲーム。
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
なかったっけ？これは見たっけ？
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
こっちじゃない？
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on. Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes.
なんだおめえ。あとなんか言ってないとこあったっけ？セッティングワールドチャンピオン。ダメ見て。なんだこのゲーム本当に。ザ・ニュー。
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
あとどこか行ってない？多分ほとんど行ったと思うんだよな。このゲームをしている人の名前言うボタン、ジャンプサークル、無限の穴。安心のバケツ。
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
やってみっか。あ？
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
ナレーターが楽しそうで何よりだよ本当に。あ、ずっと持ってきなんだこれ。
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
心めげそうだよ。全然わからんってこんなん。さっき出口って書いてあったとこあったな。どこだっけな。なんか出口って書いてあってなんかちょっと怪しい雰囲気のとこあったよな。そこ行くか。もう無限なオフィスデコレーション。オフィスデコレーションはさっきやった。多分こっちの方なんだよな。エグジットあった。さあこれでね、もうそろそろ終わりたいよね。もうそろそろなんかのエンディングみたいなものを見て終わりたいよね。もう1時だからね。今日なんなら11時半ぐらいに
Have you seen everything you wanted to?
気持ちだったから。
Ready to move on now?
はい。 バケツ置いてこや。
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
どっからか降りれんのかなそれ。
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement.
その魂がね、感じているものは、
This is much
他
better.
か
I
何
feel
かだと
good
思うん
about
で
this.
すね。
Here
そ
we
れは
go.
ね、
Version 2.
ああ、よくない。
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect.
でも指令のままにキーボードポチポチしていた頃にね、戻りてえよ、本当に。怖っ、何急に始めるじゃん。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
まあいつも通りちょっと行ってみるか。あ、入れなくなってる。なんで？ん？なんでここダメになってんの
？Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was Stanley picked up the bucket?
だからどうしたんだよマジで。ピックアップバケツじゃないんだよ。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
バケツが何だと思うんだマジで。2845。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible... Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together.
with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
はい、というわけでね、ちょっともうそろそろ区切るか1時なんでね。さすがにね。
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
肩越しに確認すれば。急になんかそういうホラーテイストのもやめてほしいな。そういうこと言ってやめさせなくするのやめな。怖っ。こいつ鏡に映んねえんだよな。どうやったら映るようになるんだろう。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
いつもどっち行ってたっけ？右だっけ？左だっけ？右だっけ？
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly...
何?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Press X.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
はい。
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
N 押してくださいって出てるから押すしかないんじゃないのか。
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
ナレーターさんがね、ただただ怖いってこの怖いって何分か待ったら
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
あまりにも怖い。もうそろそろやめようかやめようかって言うたびに新しいのがね追加されていくというね恐怖怖いですね本当に。
How wonderful! Stanley was alone. Finally, this is great. He thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
Meeting today. そうなんか新手のホラーゲーだよねこんなんねめっちゃ怖いじゃん。 今日はね、千代は夜遅くても大丈夫なんですけど、そろそろでも見てる人もね、あれだ
When
から。
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
こういい感じの区切りのところでやめたいんですけど。怖いってねえ、怖いって、さすがに。トラスト・ザ・コンプレッション・インスペクト。こいつを探しなんだ、こいつを探せってこと？探し出したところでなんかないんだろこれ。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
スタンリーが壊れちゃうから、やっぱ上に行かなきゃいけないんだよね、これね。開くんだ。いったわ。
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Openこっちも開くんだ。こっちは入ったことないね。
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor, he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk? That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
正解の音したら開けろそこ。はよ。
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Hmm. これでこう下に降りて、なんか省略されたな。なんかおかしくない？
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
なんかあんなロード画面入ってたっけ今まで。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
で、ここもやって、
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exist.
で、これでね、バケツがいないから、多分クリアができると思うんです。
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Beat the game っていうあれがね。ははい、というわけで、今日は以上で配信を終わろうと思います。もうね、永遠にやっちゃうからこれね、やめようと思います。お疲れ様でね、解釈難しかったね。なんか、無限の可能性って感じだったな。つきましょうが消えました。はい、じゃあ、お疲れ様でした。次回配信がですね、7月の2日に、ちょっと、お呼ばれをしていたんですが、スケジュールがね、リスケになってしまったんで、その時間帯で何かやりたいなと考えております。以上です。今月はね、もしかしたら29？ 明日か。明日。金曜日？木曜日か。木曜日に、ちょっと配信があるかもしれませんということで、以上となります。お疲れ様でした。見てくれて、こんな遅くまで見てくれてありがとうございました。では、また次の何かでお会いしましょう。お疲れ様でした。この遅くまでありがとうございました。バイバーイ。またねー。お疲れ様です。おつちよー。